So we're back.
We certainly are.
Yeah. How are we all doing?
Good.
100x leader. This one is a core process, intentional transfer plan. So what do we all take from this one? It's quite an interesting one. It's about how we pass on. I think regrouping from it. It's all about how we can transfer our skills, isn't it?
Yeah, we all have different set of skills and transferring it, and how do we portray it and come across with it?
I'm just giggling because I feel real high. I'm gonna move my chair down. There we go. That's it. We're all on the same level now, aren't we? So what was you saying there? Sorry, Paul, before I rudely interrupted.
So transferring our skills, we all have different set of skills, and it's how we can put processes in place and how we can bring our ideas to other people and making them want to follow us instead of having to.
No, I love it.
Yeah.
So what do you take from this then, Dean?
Yeah, same as basically what Paul mentioned. It's about being intentional with our transfer plan to get our skills across to somebody else. I think on this session there was 4 areas. What will you transfer? To who will you transfer it to? How will you transfer it? And when will? What procedures are you going to do to transfer that knowledge across? And it was quite good, actually. I enjoyed it from a perspective of I was quite good at doing the job, but understanding myself and how to transfer my skills across to somebody else was a different skill, which I had to learn first in order to do it.
But I think I'm going to just call it out. He's got a new airline for the show, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Brand spanking new airline. He's on to see him in it. I think I need to go. But I think what's interesting is he took the decision to get his hair brought back.
It was intentional.
Yeah, intentional because he lost it all trying to delegate and transfer all his
treat to myself, thinking I've put myself through so much stress losing my hair, delegating and transferring skills. It's only fair that put it back on me, isn't it?
Exactly.
So one of the things what we did, Paul, and I always remember. So I think it's come up to 5 years since I joined the business, and we're just in this. We've scaled. We're going. The end goal is to go to 30. We're halfway there now at the minute, aren't we?
Yeah.
So 20th year. And I was just going back through some old processes. We've just been at IT Nation. You've done all the mental health first aid training there, haven't you? And there's a couple of businesses struggling with this exact topic what we're talking about. And I'd shared with them a tool called a Delegate and Elevate tool. It's a real simple document. I've got a copy here. And basically, it's just 4 boxes. And in the 4 boxes, you write down in box 1, what do you love to do? And what do you think you're good at doing? And box 2, what do you like doing? And what are you good at? And box 3 is what don't you like? But you're still good at doing it, but you just don't like doing it. And then the 4th box is what is it you absolutely hate doing? And that's the areas of what we look to delegate. And I always remember doing this exercise with Dean, and the whole idea is you list out all the areas that you're good at, and this is one of your original ones.
I was going to say,
2017,
just looking at the answers,
I'm looking at the date, 2017. So it said, Dean loved to answer the telephone, answering telephone support calls, speaking to clients, planning client installs, making sure clients' installs are completed, speaking to upset customers for feedback, to discuss problems, and site installs. That's what he loved doing. Things he hated was procurement, basic support calls, printer issues. But all of a sudden, the whole idea was, there's another column next to all of these, is what's the standard operating procedure for that thing? And I always remember doing it. And back in 2017, how did you feel when I did this exercise with you?
At times it's a bit overwhelming because you're thinking, you think it's a tool where you can just delegate and get rid of loads of your tasks that you don't like doing, for example, on the hit and the delegate part. But then you realise the SOP section, you've got to make sure that you're completing procedures for somebody else to be able to follow it. You know, it's alright saying you don't like doing something, but if you want to pass that task on to somebody else, you've got to make sure they know how to do it.
So you've got to formulate a process so you can delegate that procedure and they can follow it to the T and get it right. Yeah. Because it's all right turning around to somebody and saying, you can't do it, but have you set them up to win in the first place?
Yeah, and you'll have seen this from all the work you're doing. You've started to get some support, and people going out, like Luke's got helping you do the talks. And all of a sudden, it's this thing what we call, all of us are unconsciously competent at lots of things. You've just been recording some content, right?
Yes.
So talk to people in terms of a bit of challenge with the audio.
Yeah, so I've worked like 2 weekends on the trot recording content for me e-learning courses, and there was some of the audio that I thought was okay, but I didn't think I knew it wasn't the best, but I thought Zoe, who's listening to this podcast, she works at Wonders, I thought she'd make it sound better. But I should have, from the off, asked the question and got some better audio. Because looking back on it now, it's not good enough, so it'll get redone.
But the problem is, and that's a great, we've all done this in the past. It links into where I'm heading with this. Is I think the challenge is with that though. You'd sat down and looked at the problem, looked at the process.
Yeah.
But did you come back and ask again?
No, that's what I've just said. I need to ask the question.
Because you know the process. We all know the process, but it links back to, and where we're heading with this is, there's a real simple scale what says about someone being competent, right? And we go through different areas in terms of stage one is directing. Let's take you recording that use the recording the audio.
Yeah.
Let me start. You using the microphones and the setup. It's a complicated setup like we've got in the room now, and it is complicated. So the first stage you'll go through learning is someone's got to direct you. So you think back to when you trained me playing rugby.
Yeah.
You had to direct me. I couldn't just play rugby, could I?
No, you have to direct where to run, what to do, how to catch.
And it's still to this day. What position, right? But in that area, you've got to be really high directive and actually quite low in supporting someone. Does that make sense? Because what I mean by supporting, you've got to tell them exactly what to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got it? And we forget that stage. The second stage is what we call S2, if you like, so skill level 2. And that is where you're coaching someone. So it's still high directive behaviour, but it's also high supporting. So let's talk about it. How did that go? Let's take some feedback. How do you think it went? What do you think you could do better? And it's exactly like when we're talking about editing audio and then videos. You're actually seeking feedback because you're in that area because you're creating loads of content now.
Yeah.
But you're seeking feedback, aren't you?
Yeah, and I want it to be the best. And if it means that it has to be redone, it gets redone. Because I want the experience of my delegates to be the best experience that it can be. And if that means we redo it. And I've always asked for feedback from yourselves, Dean, and yourself. And I know I'll get honest feedback. And if it's not right, they won't just say yes for saying yes. They'll tell me.
But when we look at that process again, then, so we go from that, so directing to coaching.
Yeah.
Then sort of third phase is supporting. So it's low directive, but high supporting. So you're just checking in. Is everything right? Do you need any more training? What else can I do? And again, it's another stage that we've got to go through learning and development. Ultimately, till you can get to stage 4, which is delegating, which is low directive and low supporting behaviour. But I believe as leaders, we should always be in the S3 sort of quadrant in terms of coaching, always checking, is there a better, faster way to do it? Are you still the best person to do that job? Can we get someone else to do that? But it's understanding that we've got to go through them gears to put that work in. And I think when we were doing that exercise before, I didn't tell there's them 4 gears to go through. Just said there's a standard operating procedure that needs creating. But all of a sudden, how much effort did it take to do?
Yeah, at the beginning, it takes effort. But it's worth it in the long run. I was doing tasks every single day that I didn't enjoy doing, and I did them. Sometimes you get the job done, maybe not the right way because it's a task you don't like doing, so you maybe cut a little corner here and there. But once I'd mapped out a procedure how to do it and passed to somebody else, you found that you've got other team members that actually enjoy doing them tasks a lot more than you do and can do them a lot better than you did. But for me, to get rid of that task, I had to spend time to map that procedure out. But it was worth it. It just took time.
And I think where this links back into, I've set you up on this challenge anyway, in terms of from your personal development plan, in terms of looking at your highest and best use. And there's a thing called Gallup Strength Finder. Heard of it? Not heard of it?
No.
So I think, and I'm just going to paraphrase, I might get this wrong. I did this years ago, and it's weird. You forget sometimes what you've done. And looking back, I did this probably 10 years ago, and it's Gallup Strength Finder. I think the book was written back in the 60s, 70s. And it's a bit like JAR, you do a psychometric test as such, but where this is different, it asks you a series of questions, and it says there's 32 areas of work you all enjoy doing, or 32 activities, right? And on a scale, there's some that are really high in your priorities, and there's some that are really low in your priorities. And what it goes on to say a bit further is, these priorities, if you can align your work to your natural core strengths, naturally, work in your them areas will be your highest and best use, like your superpowers, if you like.
Yeah.
And when we was away at IT Nation, again, we was looking at what our highest and best use are. And someone said, how do you know that the work you're doing? I said, actually, I've done this test for years, and I always just refer back to it. But I've done it for that many years now. I don't really redo it because I am going to redo it because you're doing yours, but I ain't done it for probably 7 years, something like that now. But I always make sure that my work's aligned to these 5 areas, because if it's not, I understand that. I get unmotivated. I don't really look forward to coming to my work. And it's understanding time, what I naturally like doing. It links back to a quote my mum used to always say, find a job you love doing, you never have to work another day in your life. You've heard that?
Yeah.
I'm doing it.
Doing it? Explain more on it.
So for years, I was doing a job that I liked, but I didn't love, didn't feel fulfilled. Now I'm doing a job that I love and I'm feeling fulfilled. And every Monday I get up now and I'm excited about the people I'm going to meet, the people I'm going to help, the people I'm going to train. And I never got that before. And to actually get up and love your working week, I think that what price can you put on that as well? Which is,
If we look at that, for example, then, what is it? So let's try and list out 5 areas what you actually love doing in that job.
so I love meeting people. I love making a difference. I love the challenge because sometimes people come onto my courses that really don't want to be there. They've been made to come. And when they go out and said, I didn't really want to come, but I'm really glad that I've done it, I get really massive satisfaction from that. And I just love doing something that I'm passionate about. Yeah, that's my 5 motivators.
Love it. So linking into this then, and I think it's called Clifton Strengths, but it's
Right,
by
okay.
Gallup is the organisation, I think, just to reiterate that. But I'll give you an example. So I'm going to say what my 5 strengths are
Yep.
in order, and then you guys, because you know me well, understand it, you can give me feedback if you think that, right? So one of them says learner. So what it says is learner. People who are especially talented in the learner theme have a great desire to learn and want to continuously improve and also love the process of learning rather than the outcome. So
Yeah.
would you agree? Talk to me on that. Explain how that works then.
I agree 100% with that. I think that is you.
Yeah, I agree.
So I think because you like collecting information, you like collecting knowledge and sharing knowledge.
And you're always striving to do that.
Yeah.
Right. So you get it. So you see,
Yeah.
so you can
Yeah.
see. Second one, and this is links into what you've just said then.
Yeah.
Input. So people who like the input theme have a massive craving to know more, and often they like to collect and archive all types of information.
Yeah, that's you.
So
Yeah.
learner input makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
The third one is restorative. So people who in the restorative side love dealing with problems and they're good at figuring out what's wrong and ways to resolve it.
Yes.
Love problem solving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So give me some examples then.
You've sorted me out over the years. I'm not that cancer. So problem solving, I think
The gift that keeps on giving.
over the years, I think we've had a lot of problems, especially with our charity work, and you've been there to solve it. One of them, the pandemic. We wouldn't have had any clubs if it weren't for your RT and your vision.
Not just massive team.
Yeah. Yeah.
This man here helping,
Yeah,
huge.
that's what I'm saying. Without Think Cloud, we wouldn't have got through a pandemic, and we only missed 1 week. So that's just one example from me. Problem solving.
But you understand though.
Yeah.
There.
I think on that one though, just to touch on it, a lot of your problem solving skills are through sharing the knowledge that you've collected. You don't necessarily, especially now, I know if I come to you with an issue, you won't necessarily fix the problem for me, but you'll provide me with the right resources to in order to myself.
There you go. And I think that's key. And the next one for me on my list is achiever. So love achieving. And sometimes, and again, we'll come back. So we all know that. We know we don't need to give examples of that, but I love achieving. And then the fifth one, which is a really interesting one, and this will link in with the Man Club. So it's individualization. So what that means is people who have a passion for this area are massively intrigued by the qualities of people, individual qualities, and also love getting these different people to work together to achieve things.
Yeah.
So then you get that?
Yeah. I think an example of that was yesterday, that networking event we went to. I think it's the first actual networking event I've been to with you.
In COVID, since post-COVID.
And you Paul goes through a lot more than me, but yesterday the way you introduced me to Mark and then to Josh, and then straight away you was off to somebody else, and I could see the way you was linking and connecting people together, and it's just, you might not notice it
No, I didn't
yourself,
notice
but and it's you've told me that you do it, but to witness it, and I could see that skill in you yesterday. It was the first time I've witnessed it, and it's intriguing, to be fair.
Cool. And I think the interesting bit on that though, right, and it's funny, you threw me there because I didn't expect you to say that, but I think we all have an area that we're just naturally good at, right?
Yeah.
And I think what I'm trying to say to anyone listening to this show, and also yourselves, is just me doing that years ago. The whole reason I'm actually at Think Cloud is because I realised that the area that I was working in, I could not achieve them 5 things.
Yeah.
My super skill when I got into that other industry and that other thing, I was a commercial director, very different. Yet you could say I like to learn about the processes and the shops we built and all the different things. Ultimately, I was never going to fulfill my highest and best use within that organisation. So that's where I had to look at what I was doing. I had to align my work to my highest and best use. And I think what I'm trying to stress to anyone listening is, if you can figure out what you naturally love doing and you're naturally good at, and then you work to be good at them 5 things. So what do you think my learning and development plan focused on? Being better at one of them 5 things.
Yeah.
Also looking at the negative side of these 5 things. For example, let's take Achiever, for example. We play FIFA in here. I hate getting beat, don't I?
Yeah.
But it becomes to a point, and I've got to be mindful of it. Like, it's not cool always to want to win. And you've done this. Talk to people on the show about your lads about the crossbar challenge.
Oh, yeah. I've played crossbar challenge with my sons since they could kick a football. My son actually beat me at 21 because I wouldn't let him win.
The first time?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
Your thoughts on that?
how did he feel? How did he feel growing up, knowing that he'd never beat you, and then to get to 21 and beat you? What was his
He
reaction
was running
like?
around the park like a madman.
And how did you feel?
Well, no, it was
Was you
great.
upset?
It was nah,
Or was you're happy finally? You thought, actually,
it was
taught him well.
just one of them where he was to blame the wind, the air, the circumference
We've got some
of
of
the
them too.
air,
Yeah,
we've got some of
everything.
them.
And no, it was great when he actually won because it's something that we've done together. We've
Yeah.
done together. He's good at some things better than me, and he wouldn't let me win. So it was just he was going, Dad, you can only use your left foot, not your right, but yeah, he got to 21 and he beat me. Yeah.
I like that.
And I think that one about achieving, when I look at it, is sometimes when you're striving to achieve, you want everything to be perfect. And that can come out as a frustration. I think it can be negative for me. Is the achievement. It's something I'm really trying to work on. And it links into, I did a post tonight about, what was it called? 50 lessons for an 8-year-old. Do you remember I posted that recently?
Yeah, I've copied that.
You copied that. You loved it, didn't you?
Yeah.
And there's some great points. I don't know if you've seen it. They're amazing. But one of them is number 5. I like that one. In a fight, hit first and hit hard. That's great bit of advice. But no, don't condone violence. But the point I'm making is, it's let your kids win. It says, isn't it?
Does it?
And I just currently refuse. But then I did it with Blake the other night. We had a little game, and I did let him win just at the end. And the joy on his face, I never let him win normally, was just amazing. So
My kids beat me at other things.
But there's sometimes I'm just trying to not be as achievement focused.
Yeah.
Because for me, what that forces and where I'm thinking about it is, we forget about the journey, don't we?
Yeah, and I think, like, just what you mentioned about Blake, then me growing up, football, my dad is still an influence for football for me, and he always pushed me hard, and I think that got me to where I was in football and the level that I played. But I'd probably do the same to my son, like what you guys are doing, push them. Still let them have the little minutes of glory, but not all the time. I'm not one of them people that believes in there's a first, second, third, fourth, fifth, you're all winners. There's got to be some competition there, and it's getting that right balance, I believe.
I think there's 2 sides to this. What I'm saying is, I think I completely agree that we need to be taught the importance of winning.
Yeah.
But what I mean is, if it's one of my things that I look at more like these 5 superpowers, what I say, all my 5 highest and best uses, they can quite quickly become an addiction.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
So you've got to learn how and when to apply it.
That makes sense?
Yeah.
Because it'd be interesting, because I'm really looking forward to the pair of you two doing this test to find out what yours are. And because again, when we look at the Giant's more about how we communicate and how we are as people. Then this is about really analysing we've all got superpowers, we've all got our own unique specialities, what we love doing. Imagine if you could align your work to that.
Yeah.
I think because I enjoy what I do so much, I have to really be conscious to switch off, because I struggle to switch off, because how can you switch off from something that you absolutely love? So I have to be really strict when I get home to switch off.
In the things you don't like doing, the market, I don't know, the admin or the
Like
sales.
Marley's Finance Friday, I have an hour where I have to do my receipts. Hit it. But it has to be done, because that comes back to your Giant. I can't be sat doing them 5 things 100% of the time.
Yeah.
We call it our 70-30, don't we? Do you want to explain that a bit more?
Yeah, so 70% of the things you enjoy doing that you're good at, and then the 30% is those bits you just mentioned, then the admin bits or the bits you've got to get stuck into but you don't enjoy.
I was quite guilty of putting the bits you hate, putting them to the back of the queue and back of the queue and back of the queue.
Yeah.
But I'm not so bad now. I get them done. I've got processes in place to make sure I get them done because there's nobody else to do it for me.
Yeah. No, you've
so
got
I have to.
They need doing, don't they? I've just done my 70/30. I've done my 30 this afternoon. I booked in a couple of hours to tidy up sales orders and all my quotes and to chase existing customers that have got open quotes. And it took time. But within an hour of doing that, I started seeing sales coming. So it just proves it's worth it. It's just you've got to focus that time to do it. Otherwise, it'll never get done.
Yeah, exactly. And I think we've got to eat that frog, as Brian Tracy says. We've got to sit down and we've got to do the hard bits first. But again, I was just interested to see what everyone thought, because this one's been about planning it forward. But imagine, and this was part of my sort of thinking was, imagine if you could delegate things that wasn't highest and best use, but also imagine if you could connect them with people where it was their highest and best use, what they love doing.
I would improve your business. It'd be massive, wouldn't it?
Any final thoughts on this one? It's been it's a short and sharp on this one, but I thought it's a very powerful one.
No, I like that one. Delegate, yeah. Things that you hate that somebody else may like, but we need to give them a process to do it.
Yeah, no, it was good one for me. And I think the bit you touched on a few minutes ago, where you enjoy people's different characteristics and personalities, and I think that's where this delegation side comes in really well. If you can understand people better, you can then understand and delegate tasks more frequently to people that enjoy doing them. So you've got a right balance across your team.
I think it links back into that culture piece, though, in terms of we've all worked for people who'll just say, get that done and pay.
Yeah.
We've all been in that situation, haven't we? And, how many times do we want to tell them to, but we don't.
Yeah.
The chimp in our heads once he's raging, we have to suck it up, if you like, and not speak our truth. But I think that's when we have in the giant world, it'd say they're very immature in terms of their journey of what it's like on the other side of them.
Yeah.
And I think we hear loads of things bounded around about emotional intelligence. And I always remember when we used to speak back about in situational leadership, you used to look at me like, what we're talking about. But I think when we break it down real simple, it's just deeply trying to understand another human being and just checking in if what you're asking them to do is, one, documented it so we can understand it. And two, do they want to do it?
Yeah.
Can they do it?
Yeah.
I suppose if people turn around and you're going to do that because I pay you to do that, they'll just do the bare minimum. Whereas if you talk to somebody and give them the right process and they enjoy doing it, they're going to go over and above and their work's going to be better.
Yeah. And the other thing is about delegating that process. What we always say is when we pass that process on, it's for them to check and run with, and can they make it better?
Yeah.
Own that process themselves, because what you've passed to them might do the job, but they might be able to find a more efficient way or a better way to do it.
And that's where culture comes in, where they feel confident. Come back
and
to
it
you.
feels more fulfillful to do that task.
But I think what's really exciting as well for listeners, so I've been out, I went for a brew with Ed today, Ed Jensen.
Yeah.
He's missed it, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's a great podcast.
Great podcast. So anyone listening to this one, go back and listen to fantastic podcast. But interesting, we're just having a debate because Ed is very similar to me in terms of he's dyslexic, but he also suffers with battling with the world with ADHD. And we were just talking, and we was playing with artificial intelligence and ChatGPT-4 and look at all different tools and just showing how they're integrated and changing the world. And it got me thinking, I'm lecturing at the university later, and when you think about the role of a university, what do you guys think the role of the university is?
Is to educate our students and our business leaders of the future.
Yeah, same. Just get this raw talent and turn them into the next generation of skill sets for businesses or new business leaders.
So if we break it down even simple, because I've been part of my role as an EIR entrepreneur resident is to look at the university and try and dissect what it is they actually do, help them commercialise it, and then help them see how it can fit with businesses like us and other people, and also ultimately make this region a powerhouse, because we're an awesome region, aren't we, right? And I distilled it down. There's a lecturer I saw from Chicago, and I took that and collected the knowledge. I'm like, distilled it, started thinking, and he made this great point about universities. That the core function is to get people to write and to get and think. But if we re-roll that, get them to think, and then get them to write about what they're thinking about. And the whole idea, when we really deeply think about it, our top thinkers think about the books giant, all these different things. Once we was able to write and come up with these systems and processes, like we've just been talking about the delegate and evaluate tool, right? We're able to write and think about ideas. And the whole idea is them pieces of text, like the delegate and evaluate tool, or the different drivers we get, or different inputs, they then change our perception of the world. Does that make sense? So let's say Giant, for example. You've gone and learned about Giant, the 5 voices, and what's your voice order?
Mine's changed. Mine is
Guardian Connector, is it? Or Connector Guardian?
no, it was Guardian Connector, and now it's the
Creative.
Creative.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm creative now. So
Wow.
the first year I was Guardian Connector, and it's right, because I was developing courses, because I was having to think out the box. I did the test a year later, and I'm creative.
Nice. More
Yeah.
creative. But my point is, it's like any of these tests are just a mirror for you to look through. But
Yeah.
But my point is, when you both did Giant, did it change your view of the world?
Yes.
Yeah, definitely, 100%.
What we've got to start thinking about, like universities or anything we do, being able to write, its whole purpose is to change the person who's reading the text view of the world. Make sense? But the
Yep.
problem is, right? So you might say, I don't really write too much, or I don't really do this, but ChatGPT helps you actually write. And a lot of people are saying, it's not your work. And I said this to Ed today, actually. I said, ChatGPT is like a 5-year-old. Amazing, can have amazing moments with it. You can play, you can have laughing, you can do all different things, right? But you've got to really manage it, because keep your eye on it, because if not, you can burn your house down, right?
Yeah.
You get my
Yeah.
point? And you know this, because we're in the tech world. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
really clever, but also isn't as clever as what everyone thinks. And I know there's calls for it to be rolled in and all the rest of it, but I think part of that is around, it's like anything we put data in, we've got to understand where that source of data goes. And a lot of these models are training models. You don't own the data where it's going, right? So that's problem number one. So 100% agree there needs some legislation around that. But also, if you think about it, and I thought about this, I struggled learning how to write for many years, and I did do a degree, and I still did professional discussions. I didn't really write. What ChatGPT and other tools like that have allowed me to do is actually start writing reports, and actually, for the first time ever, actually put my thinking onto paper so I can actually look at it and understand it. But there's a key challenge, though, the way we write. When we were in university and when we were in school, the teachers are actually reading our papers because, one, they're paid to do it, and also they're reading it to find out about us. They're not reading it through the angle of, is this text going to change my world?
Yeah.
So I think what we need to do, and this is why I get really excited about things like ChatGPT and tools like that, is all of us now have the ability to use tools like that to articulate our thoughts onto paper. So we can write, we can think. And
Yeah.
then if we look at it through the model, like, can that piece of text change someone's world? Rather than writing a long-winded report, that's the structure of a report, because that's what we think, because that's what schools are looking for. But imagine if we were able to do simple models where we can help people change the world. And I think that's where it gets so exciting now, because these processes, what we had to, they're boring. How can we help them to improve them so they're not boring and different things like that? So what's it?
Simpler.
Yeah, and what's that making you think?
I know why people are getting frightened about ChatGPT and AI and stuff like that. But I watched you in action, educating ChatGPT and AI to form a report. And
For you,
for me,
we did a full. What we did was, for our listeners, we did a full sales and product strategy,
yes,
didn't we? We spent a full day.
Yeah.
Hands to the pump, going through and building your full sales and marketing strategy,
Yeah.
product development, and building your full strategy.
but it wasn't as easy as just going into ChatGPT and AI and say, we want this. You had to give it the right instructions and you have to put the right information in first.
What we call it prompt engineering. So a little
Yeah.
plug. And we've got a course that's been released. It's a full masterclass about ChatGPT and all the different artificial intelligence tools. I'm also including a couple of 100 websites I think should be illegal, because they're that amazing what the tools can do. So if you're listening, jump on, go have a look. But ultimately, these prompts, it takes creativity.
Yeah, it does.
And I think what really excites me about the world we're now going into, loads of people are saying that there's going to be people out of jobs, but there's not. All of a sudden, I think it enables creatives now to actually articulate themselves and actually seek to change the world in a different way. Because again, and we all know this, when you used to be a guardian,
Yep.
and I used to be creative, and I couldn't articulate myself on paper.
Yeah, and we used to get frustrated with each other as well, because you'd be off and I'd be like, whoa, we need to get this finished first before we go on to that. And because I've educated myself and you've educated me going forward, I've got more creative, so I'm catching you up. I don't think I'll ever catch you up, but I'm a lot better.
You want to add to
Yeah.
that? Because you're using these tools.
I'm using it daily. It's helping me with report writing. It's saving a lot of time more than anything. But like you say, then sometimes my problem is I could spend an hour trying to get something out of my head. Now, I can summarize it in ChatGPT and it writes it the way that I'd want it to be on the paper, but I just can't, somehow I just can't get it out of my brain onto paper. It's saving so much time. But like you said, it's not, I can't see it really taking over people's jobs as such. You can use it alongside your own job just to be, if anything, save time. And it's more the comms side of it, what I've used for writing reports and getting information across to people. I couldn't have wrote it in a more simple format without using ChatGPT.
I think that's easy. Instead of making something 3 pages long, can make it 1.
Condense it into one page, and it's more understanding than 3 pages.
And again, it's just using different ways. And again, I think why other areas you want to be using it for. I showed you a great use case for it the other day. It blew your mind, didn't it?
Yeah, it's just like sometimes I watch videos.
YouTube. Do you ever watch YouTube videos for learning?
Sometimes. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there's ones we'll watch for maybe repairs of hardware, for example, if we need to look at the detail. But sometimes you need information out of them videos, and you could spend 20, 30 minutes watching a full video. The plugin that Leon showed me helped extract that information from the video, put it into text, and it summarised it within minutes.
The example we did was something Dean's really passionate about.
Yeah, so there was some Nike trainers called the Nike SB Dunks, and there was a video, wasn't there?
Yeah, so I said, tell me something you're massively interested in. See if I know. And he said, these trainers. I said, I have no idea about them, even though I like my Nike trainers, but he's an avid collector. So I said, what's this? And in less than 30 seconds, I was able to extract a full video, transcribe it, and then also summarise it into 5 key points. And this is like a 25, 30 minute video. I said, Dean, if I was going to be looking at these trainers, these are the things I'd do.
Yeah, I'd watched the video prior to it, so that's what I'd give a Leon it. And I think the video was something about the top 10 at Nike SB Dunks from 2022, something like that. And Leon asked it to summarise it, and it basically just pulled everything out, give you the name, descriptions, and it just that one piece of paper. So it's great to watch a 20, 30 minute video, but you got that on one piece of A4, a few seconds. So it's
good.
So for me, I think it's tools like that we want to be looking at. Nothing to be scared of, but we still need our creativity and our own input, and we need to make it our own. So love this one in terms of delegation and being intentional with our knowledge transfer. Anything anyone wants to close off on?
I'm good.
No, I think it was a good one. I've enjoyed this one.
That's me checking out.
Paul checking out.
Dean checking out.